65% to law enforcement agencies, 15% of that 65% set aside for youth programming, and the balance, 85% of the 65%, to support law enforcement efforts. I'm Chief Hahn, your police chief, and I'm here to present the Asset Forfeiture Master Plan for fiscal year 2022. Per city policy, the police department must present an annual asset forfeiture plan to City Council. In addition to presenting its plan to Council, this year, the police department recommends revising the policy to include clarifying language consistent with statutes and regulatory guidance. Asset forfeiture, also known as equitable sharing, is a civil procedure that determines whether money and/or property seized during criminal investigations are profits of illegal activities or used to support illegal activities. When the court determines that seized property is subject to forfeiture, the funds are first dispersed to innocent property owners and victims, and any remaining balance is shared amongst prosecutorial agencies, law enforcement agencies, and the state general fund, and a statewide ethics and legal update training nonprofit organization comprised of prosecutors. Allowable uses for the funding include, as you see on the screen, support for law enforcement operations and investigations, law enforcement training, education, travel, and per diem, law enforcement and public safety facilities.
I would suggest if we can for next year, I think this is great, and they're all great organizations, but thinking about how those interact with a lot of the other grant programs that we're doing, I think would be worthwhile.
Mayor, I'm happy to move the item.
Mr. Mayor, I had my hand up here. I'm going to move the item and give staff, and then with the direction to begin for the city manager to bring back a policy that moves the percentage of the forfeiture away from operations and more into the programming, and to include the use of an RFP process to come back.
Mayor, I think I already made a motion to move staff's recommendation forward as it is. Maybe I don't have a second, but I did slip in there and move forward the staff report as it is.
Are you willing to take a friendly amendment then, Councilmember Guetta, just to have that report?
I'm happy to take Councilmember Chenier's motion or friendly amendment, which was to have Howard talk to the police department about it, but I don't want to add it into the staff report now.
Clarity on Councilmember Guerra's motion is to also come back for a policy on the percentage piece, which I would support. So because if we don't do that, Mayor, I'm afraid it may not come back just because there's so much, and I want to make sure that that's on record.
So technically, Mayor Pro Tem Ashby made the motion first,
Okay.
and so And so that's a motion that's pending. I'm not sure, I haven't heard a second yet on that motion. Okay.
I second.
Mayor, I'll second.
Okay, so it's that motion is seconded.
Look, we have a long night, so I'm not going to get into a dueling debate here, but the fact that we use asset forfeiture, one-time money, even though that there are good restrictions, then for operations, it's a poor way to do it. And yes, if there is a way to do it, we should be looking at a policy and moving those monies to one-time uses rather than relying on them for our operational costs. It's bad budgeting. But the point is that you spend $200,000 in operations and only a fraction of that in the youth programming and services. And I just feel that it's important to make sure that if it's going to be an operational expense, that it go into the operational budget and not be using asset forfeiture when that could be used for good programming. along with the RFP piece.
Councilmember Guerra has an additional suggestion that Councilmember Ashby did not want to take. And I am suggesting that rather than have dueling motions, I commit on the record that I will not only work with Councilmember Guerra and you, Councilmember Vang, but I will ensure that the question that's being raised is agendized. All right, that's 9-0.